really centered in 2008. But nonetheless, if you know what you're looking for, you can see the sort of dominoes line up, and then you can see when the whole thing starts to fall apart. And that usually brings down the entire sort of banking system. It means that the economy is effectively in a depression, i.e. below long-term growth, and so on. And it takes quite a number of years for that to be sorted out, often around 4 years on average. And so that is kind of where the outlook is towards the end of the decade. The yellow dot represents where we are now. So we are really entering the real speculative manic phase of the cycle. And so today, Donald Trump inaugurating a golden age of America. Well, I beg to differ. It's going to look in some ways quite golden, but it's golden if you own assets, if you're speculative, if you're willing to behave in crazy ways. I think fundamentally, the US economy will, behind the scenes, be getting weaker because this cycle is driven by land values, and land values are unsustainably high, and at some point the whole thing is going to come apart. And actually, it's likely to happen under President Trump's watch. And in fact,
ironic because he is, his background and from his father is, it's all in real estate and land, isn't it?
Well, this is the great irony. Trump has been, should we say, shafted by the cycle on 2 separate occasions, and he seems not to have learned from history. Certainly, if he's not exercising a bit of caution, or indeed putting in place policies that might ameliorate the worst effects of the coming downturn. I mean, we all know, I think, the story of the 80s. He was a really big guy. He actually contemplated running for president around that time, and in fact, he would have been on the Democratic ticket. So he's not by any means a ideological Republican. I mean, as with most politicians, I think they're ultimately motivated by power, and so you can join whatever party seems to be the best route to that. He was very much burnt by the 80s boom. He had to be bailed out in the 90s. It's unclear who bailed him out, but no banks in America would touch him. And I sort of talk about this in a little bit of detail in my book. A lot of money was coming out of Russia after the fall of the Berlin Wall. They needed to go somewhere, and the suspicion is, and this has actually been documented by some pretty impeccable journalists in terms of their quality, as Donald Trump would have been one of a number of people in need of funds that would have been helped by Russian money. In any case, he had a pretty big cycle after that. He moved into reality TV and all that sort of thing, The Apprentice and so on. But he was doing kind of deals in Dubai, and this massive complex was supposed to be built, didn't get built. In fact, I think the Trump organizations announced something else in, if I'm not mistaken, Saudi Arabia, completing in 27 or 26 or something like that. So again, timing is repeating.
All this building announcement, and then we've got all this massive